Hello, welcome. Another phi video. People with animals. Looking for phi relationships between people and animals. So I've got some great pictures here from Shortby.com. Great repository of old photographs like this. And we'll have a little quick investigation as to some of the phi principles within those. So we'll use these different ways to articulate phi. We'll start with an area circle map of the Fibonacci pattern, which the Fibonacci pattern goes out to the corners like that. Creates kind of a linear sort of projection thing. Different than the spiral projection. They both project, but one is kind of a line and one is more of a circle, spiral. And we're basically looking for some basic phi dimension that we can count on. So we'll go with the height of the gentleman here. Wyoming, 1936, working on the farm. So from his height, gives us about that. So there's basically, they are creating a square here. And I feel like that's a pretty natural stance. I feel like everything here is fairly natural. It's probably posed for sure, but I think it's also natural. It's creating that phi square. If we put him inside of the seed here, the Vesica Pisces, there's different ways to do that. But if we just do it from the feet to the top of the head, it's going to articulate that. And it looks like that dog is right about in that circle. See that circle there is 1 phi step smaller than this circle here. See where the gentleman, the whole circle the gentleman is in, is a 1 phi step bigger than the circle the dog is in. And that's an eternal relationship, so there might be that, I bet, happens a lot. Or that's a perfect scale between the two, or a nice scale between the two, I don't know. It's subjective. Maybe like small dogs. But the sheep also is then this smaller circle. And that sheep is a baby. It's going to get bigger. But at this particular moment in time, there is a direct 3-step relationship between these subjects. So we've got the guy in the big circle, the dog in the second circle, and the sheep in the third circle. All fitting very nicely. So that's cool. Sort of from the dog's perspective here. Yeah, different ways we could align those, but that's kind of interesting. Okay, and this gentleman from the Fulton Fish Market, 1943. Big lobster catch on the docks there. Go from the width, from basically his arm to arm. It's a tougher reference point here because there's don't know his whole body, so it's harder to say. And those arm points are fairly arbitrary, and yet it's fitting this lobster claw in there perfectly. So we've got two things happening here. We've got this lobster, his face, and then this lobster inside that circle. Pretty close. Pretty close. So maybe tweak that a little bit. That fits almost great. Almost his head, this lobster claw, and that lobster there. And then even putting the body right in that little vesca right there, that seed. Yeah, various things. So that's probably a reasonable scale. It's another one there where they're about this seed length apart. So if we put, if he was square on the camera, his eyes would be right in this seed, which puts this seed right in his middle of his chest, gives us this circle here, which is full of lobster, and this circle here, which is full of lobster. And then on the master seed, they're putting his hand almost right at that point. So that's a little bit of a fun exercise. And if we get that right, well, this makes more sense actually. That it would be something more like that. It's just that it throws off the lobsters a bit. Although it's doing, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of different relationships in there, but yeah. And as a direct relationship, if we go from the width of his face, of his head, basically this rectangle here, and if we rotate that and scale it up once, so about like that, right? Which goes from basically his pocket to just under his hair. So we go from his pocket to just under his hair is another 5 scale. And this one we're starting to get somewhere. His head will fit in there. Talking about this general head area, so he's got that happening. If we go up one more scale, and I'll just do that by saying 161.8% scale up. It's going to give us a nice face one, so this should be getting back to, see, yeah, this is, so from his head is approximately the width of his arms there. So that original scale was fine. And all those same alignments still apply. Cool. Okay, and then if we do down on the French farm here, and we go to the height of the gentleman as a rough human scale phi, say this guy's fairly average height, then we get this shape, which is about the length of the whole composition here. So this whole thing creates a phi rectangle, of which the young child is certainly part of it, and possibly fitting right in there like that. Not wholly convinced about this idea, but right on the leg, so nose to knee there. And it's the size of the pig. And in fact, that's fitting fairly off on the pig's face. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could pick here. But that general arrangement. And this one, let's say, is from the, if we go from the height of the man, like that, then we go this way, and that's almost working there in terms of the length of the two of them together. It's not quite, it's longer than the goat is. Quite a bit actually. If if we go tight to there, giving us this type of relationship. And that is the height of the man excluding the head, which often can definitely happen with animals in natural form, is that the body is one phi and then the head is another phi. And that certainly seems to be supported here by the fact of just arbitrarily this distance translates to this distance. And then if we center the goat, make this a goat-centric experience, it's fitting in that circle, and in fact similar to the circle relationships with the other ones, if we say that the man is that big, then the goat looks like it's fitting in this circle here. If its head's down, it would be somewhere here. So yeah, so then again, the man and the goat are very similar. Yeah, same as this relationship, the man and the dog. And this relationship of this man is that high, so it's getting slightly towards his donkeys growing out of that circle. But basically the pig is the same size as the man. And the child, it's hard to say. But yeah, okay. If we put the Vesca right on the guy, and the goat's almost doing the negative space there. That back leg joining right on that point. We make that point the center of the whole thing. And in fact, that point, the center of the whole thing. Kind of feels like we could twist and turn that a little bit to make it work. Let's try the phi spiral. And go from the height of the guy again. And we'll just move it around and see what's in here. Hard to say with his body position. It feels like he's leaning this way. Yeah, I think I like that one. Doing that claw really well. His hands, this area. Putting his face right in that window. His hair blowing up there. Go from the size of the pig, it's like that. Go parallel to its feet. Yeah, so somewhere in there. Kind of tying the whole thing together, but not crazy. Cool. Now this one, actually, yeah, no, that was good. We'll go to the height of the gentleman. Play that rough angle. That's funny. That's awesome. Neat. Yeah. Okay, let's try this map. And do similar ones. Same height as the guy. Centered right on the dog. Centered right on the third eye there. And what, centered on the heart or something? Cool. And this gentleman, If we go parallel to the ground, that's a real thing. Something like that. Everybody okay with that? Then we center it on the child's third eye. Get that. Put it on the nose of the pig. That's something, possibly. Centered right on the saddle. Maybe like that. Certainly from the human perspective. Front feet well. Almost the back feet of the donkey. Radiating from this guy. But if we put it all on the saddle of the seat, there's a child sitting on the saddle, that might be and he's sort of associated with the child and the pig, and the donkey's connected to this guy, I guess. So it's all kind of hinging on the saddle, you could argue. Let's do the other one. We'll go from the height of the whole guy. Oh yeah, the width of them together, sure. Sure. A little tighter, but makes that back leg work and illustrates that front leg a bit. And if we center it and put the point of interaction right in the middle, Weird how those little zigzags work sometimes. So those are the infinity points, right? Now if we go to the ground again, feels like it's about like that if we run through the center point of both of them. Yeah, neat. Well, there we go. Another bunch of interesting relationships there. Trying to get a handle on how they all work together. Okay, well, we'll do that again. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Take care out there. Bye-bye.